And good morning again, everyone. It is a Saturday morning, and what a Saturday morning, January 3rd, 2026. Good old 710 KNUS. You heard the weather, 61 today, 66 on Sunday. The United States launches airstrikes on multiple locations across northern Venezuela, including the capital city of Caracas, considered a major escalation in the ongoing conflict. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro declares a state of emergency. Explosions begin. It's at 4:21 this morning, our time, Eastern time. Donald Trump announces on Truth Social that Maduro and his wife have been captured and flown out of the country. Officials from the United States and other countries are now questioning the legality of the strikes, and the press conference part of this morning is the president announces the U.S. will run Venezuela and not afraid of boots on the ground. There is all kinds of reactions. We're taking the calls here on 710 KNUS. Let's go to Steve in Louisville. Steve, you're on the radio show. Good morning. Thanks.
Yeah, hi, Peter. I believe that the main thing was to make sure that China and Russia didn't get into South America like they have in Panama. He's trying to get them out of Panama now. And then the drugs were secondary, but he needed a reason to get him out of there. And they already elected a president, but they had to get her out of there because they were going to kill her.
Absolutely. I mean, she got out away. But go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted. I apologize.
Well, no, I mean, Venezuela, as you know, and I used to work for an international export company, was one of the most productive countries in South America until the socialist communists took over.
That's true.
And destroyed it, along with the oil companies that they ran out and nationalized.
Well, so when they go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say when the nationalization took place, and nationalization took place in a number of countries. It's one of the first things after revolutions they do. They did it in Cuba. They've done it in other places, and they wrecked the oil business. They truly did. The infrastructure, from my reading, and then the Chinese bought, or up until I guess today, 80% of oil that came out of Venezuela was purchased by the Chinese. The thing is it's the multinationals, and they don't give a damn about the politics of anybody they buy oil from or sell oil to. And I think this was it. Better yet, I'll ask you: was this raid more about oil, or what was it about?
Keep China out of South America.
Ma'am, I don't know if the Chinese were physically in Venezuela other than as the purchasers of oil.
I think the Chinese were planning on going into Venezuela and setting up bases. I think even the Russians, weren't they setting up some missile sites or something like that?
I've not read that. I
heard that a couple of months ago.
Uh-huh. Well, and again, I'm playing advocate with you. Is there a difference between the United States being in Taiwan and the Chinese being in Venezuela? It's a question for conversation.
I think eventually the Chinese are probably going to take Taiwan. I'm not sure we're going to go in there and put our soldiers in that country. I think eventually they will take it. But you had another caller mentioned Cuba with Kennedy. That was Kennedy's, I think, biggest mistake that he ever made.
Cost his life.
Was not allowing the Americans to go into Cuba. Well, because if he did, Cuba would be our friend and ally, and those people, instead of living in squalor.
That's one of my favorite moments in history is what happened, and they were going to use the Truman corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. It was all set up during Eisenhower, And Nixon was a planner, one of the planners of it. And when Kennedy becomes president of the United States, and it's dropped in his lap, Jack Kennedy did not know about the Bay of Pigs and decided not to. As his enemy said, he chickened out. And those guys
I think that was his biggest mistake. Like I said, that country would be very productive. The people would be, living in freedom. And that was the biggest mistake. But again,
the similarities are striking because it was under the thumb of a dictator who allowed, particularly the American mafia, to operate the hotels, the gambling, the prostitution, and when Fidel takes over, they nationalize everything, and that causes big problems with corporate America and the mob. I'm intrigued by it because it cost both of them, cost Khrushchev his job, and it cost Kennedy, I think, his life and what he did. But come back to this. You're a great call, by the way. Donald Trump said the U.S. will run Venezuela and not afraid of boots on the ground. What do you do with that?
I don't know. I think the people that elected the actual president that the United States was involved in getting her out of there. I think the people in Venezuela are tired of living in a socialist communist country, and I think if they have the opportunity to bring that other president in that they actually elected, that country can change within a year or two.
I agree. And and again, if you look at the model in Panama, when the ouster of Noriega, but the problem is that there's a standing army in Venezuela and there's gangs in Venezuela, and I think to myself, could that turn into another Iraq? People don't like occupying armies in their country, no more than we do. They don't. So, where does it lead to, and what's going to happen? It could go very smoothly, by the way. You're right. But
that's almost like in Iran right now. Trump's promised to back up those people if they kill any more of them. They need to get leaders in there. Those people in Iran, they're good people. They want to change. They're living under a brutal dictatorship that kills people when they protest.
But again, Iran's a different place too. It's like that's the Iranians have a long memory of what the United States involvement is. I know a lot of Iranians. I read them and I've talked with them. They go back to the ouster and of the Shah and the return of the Shah, and it's a long history. And one of the things about people that live in those places, they seem to have much longer memories than we have in this country, and they harbor grudges like, wow. So, what's the outcome? What do you think this was really all about? And what do you think the outcome will be?
As I said before, to keep China out of there, bring in a ruler that will be friends with the United States, and make it prosperous again, and give the people their freedom back. Same thing in Iran.
Great call. Thank you very much. Well thought out. Thank you. To the wall. If Trump puts soldiers in Venezuela, it will not end well. I have the same sense. If U.S. GIs are put into Venezuela, and Donald Trump is saying we're not afraid of boots on the ground, and we will run Venezuela. Nations have a tendency not to like invaders. They just, it doesn't work. Unless, of course, they are welcomed as liberators. And recently, there doesn't seem to be too much evidence of the United States military being welcomed as liberators. So could this turn into an Iran? Yeah, it could. But if you remember, after the removal of Noriega, things were really smooth. Went to elections, and things are much different now. So how do you react when Donald Trump says the U.S. will, quote, run Venezuela until a safe transition can take place? 303-696-1971. We have lines open. And again, this claim of the drugs, that doesn't hold up. It isn't. Back to the wall again real quick, and then the U.S. dollar must be restored to Iran next. Danny Kaplis' law firm. By the way, lines are open, 303-696-1971. Oil or drugs? Which? 303-696-1971. Dan Kaplis Law. And longtime friend of Danny suggesting you choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says so much about you and everybody involved in the case. Danny's dad, we talk about Danny growing up, and he came out here, went to CU undergrad, believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan's believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Kaplis Law, the official law firm, the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avs. Danny's firm is a serious firm for serious cases, accepts righteous injury cases on percentage fee basis. So he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. And he's my guy, been our friend a long time. You need his help, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dankapleslaw.com. Danny's last name, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com, 303-696-1971. Adams clearing calls. 61 will be the high, 66 on Sunday. And there's a picture now of Maduro with a mask on and got headsets on him, and they're bringing him back in a helicopter. You can see him. He is getting there. Let's go here. We go to Francis in Golden. Thank you. You're on a radio show, and good morning.
Hey, Peter. Hey, this is frightening, in my opinion, because this didn't have a darn thing to do with drugs. I mean, this was all just poking your finger in the eye at China, is what it amounts to. And I don't think that China is in a stable place anyway. I could see them, and I don't think you want an unstable China. I mean, I really don't think you want that. I mean, they could fall into complete disarray, and that's a quarter of the Earth's population.
Yeah,
it's dangerous. This is super dangerous. And listening to Trump, he sounds god awful. He sounds like he's suffering from COVID, in my humble opinion. His voice is extremely raspy. He's disjointed all over the place. He didn't make any sense at all in his statement. He was just rambling. Maybe he was up all night over this.
Yeah, I was going to say he was. Yeah, I probably would suggest he was up all night. I got a little far back in your voice. We got an echo. Are you on a speaker?
Can you hear me any better? No, I'm not.
Huh.
I'm just on my AirPods. But sorry about that.
That's all right.
I don't know.
Take your pods out and let me see if we can get something.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, get something a little better. Boink. There. How's that? How did we lost this call? 303-696-1971. As Adam is clearing calls, he sounded tired during that press conference. We ready to go again? Okay. We go to James in Denver. Hey, James, thanks for calling the show, and good morning.
Good morning, Peter.
Hey, man.
So I'm in the concrete business, and I work with predominantly Hispanic people, and they think this is an absolutely great thing that has happened with Maduro. They say that he's a very bad man.
He is.
Bad for their country.
Well, he is.
Bad for, he's no good. He's a tyrant.
Agreed.
And now my understanding is a few years back, maybe it was 5 years or so, they had elections, and he lost. And instead of him,
absolutely,
stepping aside, he kept power.
Yeah.
And nobody's really talking about that.
No,
much.
we did. Maduro is a bad guy. He follows in the footprints, and these guys took a really going Jenny state and they wrecked it, with their socialist
beautiful
policy.
Country.
Yeah, so
beautiful.
When you think about who Maduro, he was a cab driver. I read his life. He was driving a cab, and he went up the ladder. He was, and again, in those kinds of bureaucracies of socialism, and he rises. And when Chavez dies, they claim that Chavez named him as his successor. So there's not even an election. He's sworn in a first term, a second term, and as you point out, a third term. And how many of them are really legal? Probably maybe one, if not, but I wouldn't buy that. So everything you say is true.
Yeah, I think Marco Rubio has a huge part to play in this because of his Hispanic background.
He's Cuban.
Yeah, and I think that I really believe that Trump is not going to stay there. They're going to turn it over to some people that with free elections, and then they're going to walk away.
I want to believe. I hope.
Okay.
You start.
Have a good day.
All right, man. Thank you very much. We go back. I think we got Frank again. All right, brother. You're back up. It's yours again. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, sorry about that.
It's all right.
I'm sure it's user error on my part. So.
No problem.
No, I pretty much completed my thought, but I really feel that we can't have boots anywhere near the ground there, and I don't like this nondescript. How long are we going to be there? Kind of thing that Trump is talking about.
Here's a remark. This just came in on the text. Since when does America go into another country and run it? Well, since George Bush. I don't know.
It's never worked. I mean, when has it ever worked? I mean, give me an example. I don't remember it working. Really?
The drug thing is a ruse. I mean, I'm convinced of that.
Totally.
Yeah. The evidence is pretty overwhelming. Venezuela's role in cocaine trafficking, and they're not at all involved in fentanyl, which is the killer drug. So is it oil? And the answer is high degree of probability. It's the oil. But then what? And the Donald Trump, I listened to him say that the oil companies, U.S. oil, I mean they're all multinationals, they're not U.S. And they're going to come in and they're going to straighten out the whole oil industry, and then we're going to run the country till the right people come along. There we are. Frank, a last comment. We lost.
When
it.
does that happen?
Okay. Well, that's
784?
yeah. I can't find.
Talking about ketchup.
Where's that coming through? But I don't know. Can we run? Will we run Venezuela? And Donald Trump said, not afraid of boots on the ground.
Thank you.
I don't know. Well, there's many voices coming in there. Thank you. A lot to run on the wall. You said Maduro lost his election but was successful in staying in power, just what Trump claimed and tried to do and was unsuccessful. You send them in, I'll read them. Straight ahead, stay with us, 303-696-1971.
Your 710 KNUS forecast is Saturday, mostly sunny, mild, highs in the lower 60s, cloudy tonight, breezy with lows in the upper 30s. Lots of sunshine, but more wind expected for your Sunday, highs in the mid 60s with overnight lows down to 35. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
right, it's a Saturday, and good morning, everyone. 710 KNUS, I'm Peter Boyles, 303-696-1971. A lot of changes now. The Internet is now really bringing things down. Venezuelan officials have accused the U.S. I'm reading you this, going back into the calls. Venezuelan officials have accused the U.S. of gaining access to the country's oil reserve, which apparently is the largest in the world. The bombardment of Venezuela and the capture of Maduro is serious and dramatic escalation of the U.S. campaign. The future of Venezuela's ruling regime remains uncertain. And again, I'm reading all of this. Since Donald Trump took office for his second term, he's put Maduro squarely in his sights, pursuing the maximum pressure campaign, and now comes this. There are, and this is really some interesting stuff too, the Trump administration declaring Venezuelan gangs as terrorist organizations and carrying out airstrikes against alleged drug traffickers in the Caribbean Sea. We watched all of that. They put a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head, one of the largest narco traffickers in the world. Trump openly flirting with the idea of regime change. And then, of course, it comes relations between U.S. and Venezuela. And then apparently, this is the future is uncertain. Venezuela's defense minister, and this is where it gets kind of iffy if we were talking about boots on the ground. So the future is uncertain. Venezuela's defense minister has vowed to fight on what he has called citizens to unite to resist the foreign invasion, calling for the resistance to fight the United States of America, a fight for freedom. Maduro's captured. Venezuela's institutions and military appear to be intact. It's unclear if Saturday's attack on Venezuela, and again I'm reading this, was the beginning of a wider conflict in a one-off operation. Venezuela's opposition leaders, chief among them Nobel Prize winner Maria Corina Machado, have called for Trump to help support an uprising in the country. The U.S. has in the past carried out war games, simulating a scenario where the Venezuelan leadership was decapitated. Again, this is all flying down the wire now. The Venezuelan officials accusing the U.S. of trying or indeed gaining access to the country's oil reserve. I didn't know this is the largest in the world. 303-696-1971. Your thoughts this morning. I will read these. Freedom comes in form of U.S. debt. Manhattan Jesus will receive the Nobel Peace Prize. That's another one. Since when does America go into another country and run it? Pete, Donald Trump is bringing his well-honed casino management skills into our foreign policy, however, as an effective distraction from the 5th anniversary of the Trump-sanctioned cop beatings in the U.S. Capitol, the Jack Smith deposition release, and the Evergreen Epstein files cover-up. 303-696-1971. Panama was a little different from what's happening in Venezuela because Panama Canal Treaty also looked to Venezuela's population that we were stealing their oil and their natural resources. We go to Brian in Arvada. Brian, thank you. You're on the radio show. Good morning.
Happy New Year, Pete.
You too, Bubba.
Yeah, right on. Hey, for the life of me, I can't figure this one out.
Neither can I. Neither can I.
I just, it's like the Bay of Pigs, but Trump did it. It's like, it's like Black Hawk Down, but Trump pulled it off. I mean, is he trying to be better than these disasters we had in the past? Because I don't see how we run anything in any other country.
I echo your sentiment. I do not understand what we're watching. I don't.
It's scary because we don't know the real reasons behind this. If it's just an oil grab, I mean, for God's sakes, we got a lot of oil here in our country. and responsibly. I'm here in Alaska's got the biggest undiscovered oil reserve ever, and I got a friend that's a geological scientist, and they're looking for oil all the time. His company is, and we've got a ton of it if we could just get to it. But this whole Maduro thing, it happened so quietly. I just don't understand. The guy's a bad guy, of course. So was Chavez. They're all crooks.
And the world is.
But what's our job to do that?
The world is full of bad guys.
Right, and they're oppressive regimes. And I feel sorry for Venezuela. Could be the just a beautiful place, obviously, with all the natural resources they have. But this is what communism does. It destroys everything it touches. And it's greed grab for everyone. But who are we to go in the silence of the night and take this guy out or change the regime? And then now, what are we going to do now? I just don't understand. But something's going on, Pete.
Donald Trump said, and I quote, "We will run Venezuela and not afraid of boots on the ground." In the meantime, in this most recent stuff I'm reading, the Venezuelan officials, and I'm reading this, it isn't, Venezuelan officials have accused the United States of America of trying to gain access to the country's oil reserve. Now, there's a couple of different models that could take place, and the one is the Panamanian model that everybody said, welcome back Carter, and everything goes well and there's a free election and the rest of it is there. Or we can have the Iranian model that people do not want occupying soldiers in their country. And I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but to say that the United States oil companies, or a company, whichever it is, are going to come in and take over and straighten out the oil production, well, that cuts the Chinese out. You can bet on that. But again, if you look at the multinationals, they don't give a damn who they sell oil to.
Absolutely not. And that's who the big winners are in this whole thing, if this is an oil grab. But to your point, that's the only thing I can think maybe could work is the Panama model, because they did have elections to whether they were free or fair or not. And we have a presence there. We always will, but we're not running the place, And that's the only thing I think can work in this scenario. Otherwise, we're just going to have fake elections like when we in Iraq, where everyone had the red mark on their hand, and it's a Time magazine photo op, and that's all it was. And it didn't change anything over there.
When you hear the president say we're going to run the country, what does that mean to you?
It's Trump being Trump. It's Trump saying I'm the big man on the block and I can run whatever the heck I want. It's more than that, though, when you think about it, and it's scary that we can just go in somewhere and say now we're going to run the country for a while. I mean that's not the way things should be happening. I don't care who's president, but there's a multinational spin on this that definitely is going to fill the pockets of a lot of people.
It was somebody described it already as a snatch and grab, that they snatched Maduro and his wife and took him. I don't know. There's a real truth in this someplace, and I can't find it or I can't see it. And it may be me, the people who see it as a glorious moment. I want to be able to say, yeah, me too, but I can't quite get there.
Well, if there was an opposition going on, an election coming up, or stolen election or something, or an opposition party that was poising to make, and we came in and assisted, I could see that. This is just, I don't like you, and I don't like what you're doing. I've got all these reasons, whether they're true or not, that people allegedly could get behind, and we're just going to take you out. And now we're going to run your country, and then we're going to figure out the rest later. I mean, you got to have they have a better plan, but they got to explain it to us in a better way than just, we're going to run it for a while. I mean, he's not a very good explainer. He's a pretty good bragger,
Yeah, well,
but he's not a very good explainer.
Let's see what that means. If it's a military government, and perhaps there are people in exile that he can bring in and put in charge. Do we put our military there to keep everybody in line, or is it just these people will welcome a return? This is from The Wall. Multinational oil companies want to control Venezuela. U.S. boots will be required to be on the ground. That's an interesting statement. I think there's truth to that.
Well, Pete, we can't even help Mexico. Mexico's a mess.
Oh.
It's been that way for a long time. We can't even save that country. What makes us think we're going to go into Venezuela and change the whole dynamic there, and it's just going to be a blossoming democracy? It's a fallacy, and it's not going to happen. And if we can do it without blood and treasure, I guess it's a win for the people. But in the long run, who's it a win for? We got to look beyond this little escapade that's going on, and it's the world's going to suffer in a way. I just don't know what it is. This one I don't get. The Panama is the only thing I can think that model could work, but I don't know.
I'm not sure. Thank you. To The Wall again. Peter, Happy New Year. I voted for Trump, but I was afraid he'd do something like this. It's about oil. 710 KNUS. This is Gary in Denver. We have two lines open, 303-696-1971. Gary, you're on the show.
Hi, Pete.
Hey.
Well, Trump, first he did the tariffs, and the cost of my car went up. Then he started deporting all the immigrants who were picking oranges in California, and my orange price went up. And now he arrested Maduro, and now my cocaine price is going to go up.
Yeah. Well, I don't see, believe me, the drug addicts are not going to have a price increase.
Yeah. But anyway, I think what this is about is, and it's going to take a little while for this to reveal itself, this is about Trump enriching himself and his family.
How so?
Somehow he's going to get a piece of the revenue, he being personally a piece of the oil that'll be sold out of Venezuela. He's all about the money and enriching himself. That's what this guy does.
Here's from The Wall again. From an international relations perspective, now what is the difference between the United States and Russia at this point?
Yeah, and Pete, during his little speech, he talked about that poor girl that got killed.
Yeah.
But he didn't explain. I thought he was going to explain that she overdosed on drugs, but it doesn't sound like she overdosed on drugs. She was killed by one of these.
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was really tired when he got up and spoke, and people were sending kind of nasty messages about what kind of shape he looked like he was in or the rest of it. But he's probably been up all night watching. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but we'll see what happens.
It was really disjointed what he was talking about. It just had.
Yeah,
this is what happens. This is what happens when you have a guy who's a transactional president. He has no strategy, so God knows what the next transaction will be.
Here we go. We go to Mike next. Mike, you're on a radio show. Good morning. It's a Saturday. Thank you.
Hey, Pete. Good morning. Nice to talk to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much. To me, this is pretty straightforward. Trump had imposed an embargo on Venezuela that they were not supposed to be shipping oil out of the country. When they refused to stop doing it, we captured a couple of their boats. We were about to take the third boat when somebody put a Russian flag on it, but we took it. And Trump has said, as Marco Rubio confirmed in that press conference, Maduro was given numerous opportunities to comply with the sanctions. He refused to do it. Now, guess what? That oil's not going to be export it to China and other places that we don't want it exported to.
One of the questions that you get to ask at this point was, where do you get the right to do that? And that's one of the things that's being now run through up and down the line through Republicans and Democrats and outside countries. And do you have the right to do that? It's a great question.
Wait, where do we get the right to impose embargoes on countries that are selling oil to foreign adversaries?
To people that you don't like. And that's the thing about
It's not people that I don't like. It's people the world don't like.
No, it's the interesting thing about a multinational. And if you look at, listen, I got a break coming. I'm going to put you on hold. You're a good caller. Can you stay with me, Michael?
Yeah, you bet.
He's on hold. All right, he's on hold. We have a pause coming. The U.S. will now run Venezuela and not afraid of boots on the ground. Like so many people, I don't know quite what to think about what has happened and the right to do things and the right to step into another nation's life. 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Hang on. We'll come back with Mike's call and your call. 303-696-1971. It is a Saturday. Good morning, everyone. 61 will be the high today. One line's open January the 3rd. Last night, the United States and the Donald Trump administration, as somebody said, they're separate. No, they're not the same. They're the same. They take out Maduro and his wife and bring them home and put them on trial. And everybody's talking about one way or the other, quick on the wall, whatever happened to no new wars and make America great. Mike is kind enough to stay with us. Michael, thank you. That's a legit question. Is this are we at war with Venezuela?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's not a war with Venezuela.
Okay.
As I was saying earlier, we put sanctions on Venezuela because they were violating world order. The same way we put sanctions on the Iranians. We said, look, you cannot have a nuclear weapon. All the world was saying you cannot have a nuclear weapon, and the Iranians were saying
they got
we're
one.
A sovereign country.
We're
a sovereign country. We'll do whatever the hell we want.
That's right.
Well, guess what? Guess what? The big dog in the world, us, said, no, you won't. We took care of that problem. Here's what's going to happen, in my opinion, humble opinion, in Venezuela. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to get their oil straightened out. They're going to start pumping it. They're going to be paid for what they've done. We're going to be paid for what we lost. And the rest of it is going to go to the Venezuelan people who the video from Miami this morning, these people are out in the street. They're just they're ecstatic.
They're Venezuelan expats, and I hope that there's a government in exile someplace in this country that can be transported into Caracas. And I'm again reading from the instant wire part of this. The Venezuelan officials accusing, now these are clearly Maduro cabinet people or those, Maduro, they're accusing the U.S. of trying to gain access to the country's oil reserve, the largest in the world. They also have a standing army. They also have armed gangs. I mean, one of the things that you worry about, or at least I worry about, you put GIs in there because you're going to have to put GIs in there to protect your going to run people. And I'll just read it to you again. Venezuelan defense minister has vowed to fight in the streets, called for citizens to unite against resisting the foreign invaders, calling resistance to the United States if they come, fight for freedom. Now, if you think it's, is it wise guy talk or is it Iran?
But what does he mean by fight for freedom?
Well, they have a stand. They have a standing. They have a stand. I know, but what people have a propensity not to like foreign soldiers in their country.
Yep, I understand that.
And
it's going to depend on how long they're going to be there.
Well, once a fight starts, and fights start quickly, the United States will not leave until the fighting is done. And I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that this could end. One is the Panamanian way, which I hope is enacted. The other is the Iraqi way, and that could run out as well too. The line of somebody saying they will run your country, and the multinational oil companies are nothing to sing the praises of. So I'm like I said, I'm confused. I don't know quite how to judge this and what's coming next.
Okay. Well, my view is this is the first day. Okay.
Oh,
Trump
absolutely, absolutely.
People asked Trump in the press conference, "Who's going to run the country?" He said, "You're looking at the people standing behind me," and then he said, "I will give you names in a few days."
Yep.
So let's relax here a little bit.
Well, I mean,
we haven't heard anything from the Russians. We've heard nothing from the Chinese.
You won't.
So see what the rest of the world thinks about this right now.
Yeah, you won't hear from the Chinese.
They're being pretty quiet.
What I mean, does this justify the Chinese if they snatch Tehran? If they go to Taiwan?
The Chinese are not going to take Taiwan for one reason. We back Taiwan. We are the big dog here. We back you. The Chinese are not going to touch you. End of story.
Let's hope. It's like,
well, Pete, look at it this way.
Right.
This is a quote war, end of quote, over energy.
Everything's
the Chinese need oil and they need coal. The biggest producers of oil and coal are us and our allies.
No, hang on, just a second. Every war in recent times has been about oil. The war in Kuwait was about oil. It wasn't about the democratic people of Kuwait. We now know that as the fires were still burning in the Pentagon, Cheney and Rumsfeld and others were planning on going after Saddam. Why did they do that? It was for oil. I mean, it's none of this is new. It always seems to be a mask, a guise. And I think drugs were the guise on this morning. There's evidence is overwhelming that there's no evidence, in fact, that the primary killer of people in our country, none of it's produced in South America in terms of the fentanyl stuff. That's all Chinese into Mexico.
Right. So what kind of a notice do you think this gave to Mexico?
Say that again.
What kind of notice do you think this kind of action gave to Mexico?
That's an interesting question. Or better yet, did it give to the Iranians?
Even better. You're right.
No. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
The one thing you don't do with Trump, and we're learning this over and over and over again, is you don't screw around with him. He will do what he says he's going to do. And it sounded like, I don't know if you heard the statement from the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, this operation was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable decision.
Well, listen, we have an incredible military. This country, these guys are good. The Delta Force guys and those Night Stalkers, they're incredible.
Yeah. So tell the Venezuelan people to uprise against the United States and get their military out in the streets and blah, blah, blah. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Well, I hope you're right. I really, really
Already,
do.
Marco, you're talking to the woman that was placed into vice presidency by Maduro, right?
Yep.
And she sounds like she kind of wants to make a deal.
I hope so. I mean, these are all hope so moments. You don't know. And unless, the CIA was involved in this and they were on the ground and they gave it the green light, somebody knows something. And you can only hope as a peaceful transition that there's a new government that comes into power and it's clean and the multinationals run the oil business, but they run it like they run it in Saudi Arabia. They don't screw around with the Saudis. They just get the oil and go. It's a hopeful moment, but there's a lot of precariousness involved in that hope. It really is.
I'm not going to deny that, but I'm going to wait and see what happens for a few more.
Good
to talk to you. Have a happy New Year.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. How much are we on time? We got 2 minutes. Let's start with Jay in Wheat Ridge. Hey, Jay, if we don't finish, I'll put you on hold. How about putting Jay back on hold, and that'll do it. And I'll just read the wall what people have sent in. Fair enough. All right, Pete, I'm a President Trump supporter, but thought the U.S. running Venezuela is crazy. Our country is so divided, so screwed up. We are sadly on the brink of being non-functional, and I think it's a good idea to take responsibility to run Venezuela? ? I thought we were going to drill, baby, drill in this country and stop doing this kind of crap. Trump is now quoted as saying the U.S. will be strongly involved in Venezuela's oil. Pete, I fear this will become Iraq all over. Yeah, I do too. Pete, the cultists are really jumping through the rear ends to make this make sense. We don't deserve this much peace and winning. That's funny. That's clever. Pete, Nancy Pelosi, of all people, points out the hypocrisy of using drugs as an excuse for an invasion and arrest a month after pardoning the former president of Honduras after he's convicted of drug charges. Yeah, that's a very good one as well. It's so much fun to hear you liberals cry and whine, suffering from Trump winning. Well, not a liberal, but it's an interesting text. It's this one. Trump is now quoted as saying the U.S. will be strongly involved in Venezuela's oil now. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station. We have one line open, 303-696-19.